Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pod TV's number one do-it-yourself um, troubleshooting show for timeshares. Timeshare solution or surrender. My apologies for stumbling here. It's been quite an interesting day. We are on episode 42. So Irene Parker, who is our host, has taken on the advocacy of helping people who have suffered from the deceptive acts of timeshares. And what she tries to do is guide them into how they can find a solution, because the next biggest scam out there isn't just the deceptive acts of timeshares. It is the people who claim that they can get you out of the timeshares, the people who say they are attorneys or legal firms, and they charge you tens of thousands of dollars to get you out of the tens of thousands of dollars of debt that you got yourself into with timeshares. But everyone, help me welcome Irene Parker to episode 42. Woohoo! Timeshares solution. I know you're probably going, I'm so exhausted from all of this work. You do so much. Your team has been so responsive to so many victims. And you got one on the phone.
Well, yeah, what's so much fun about this show is you never know what is going to happen.
Nope.
So I am going to add Seema in California to join us. And the scheduled guest we had was Dr. David, who is a pretty renowned pain management medical doctor, and he is disputing a $220,000 purchase where he doesn't really have that much time to vacation, but he's had rental properties as an investment as part of his retirement plan. And so sadly, he learned that the $220,000, if it were to be resold, would be worth at best $50,000. And now things have changed and he's just devastated. In the last week, Kim, the same company, I have heard from 6 people reporting $713,000 that they are disputing. We're going to have 2 more guests join us. They're at work, so they couldn't stay on the whole time. We have Naomi that's supposed to join us about 1:15. She's disputing Marriott. And I used to have Marriott right up there with Disney as the beacons of honesty. But in the last, I'd say 3 or 4 months, we've had an influx of Marriott, Sheraton, Hyatt, and Welk complaints. And of course, Marriott acquired all of those. So Naomi will be joining us. And then we have at 1:30, Pam in Maryland. Pam purchased from Flagstaff, which is also known as Fantasy. And it looks like we have another unscheduled guest, Kim. Anne, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear
me? Yes. Okay. So we can hang up the phone.
Oh,
and
I figure out how to turn the audio on the computer.
And,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You're
okay, because I can't hear you. So let me look at.
Oh, you can't hear us.
You might have us muted on your computer. She can't hear us. Look at chat.
You should have a menu on where your picture is.
Anyway.
Okay, we can hear them.
You can hear me, but I can't hear you. So let me look at the audio.
This is live TV, you guys. So
stop my cam.
Okay, hold on.
I can't figure out
how to get a hold of her. I'm gonna mute her here so we don't echo. But tell her to see if her mute button on the computer is working.
Wait, I just see it. I just saw that microphone.
All right.
I'm sorry.
I did that so you don't echo.
There, you're on.
Oh,
So we
okay.
troubleshoot
But now I
problems
can't
on
hear you.
Timeshares. Literally.
Okay,
troubleshoot.
all right. Okay, so what is fun here? Let me continue with Pam, because Pam is the answer, will explain the cause of everyone's problem in timeshare, which is the oral representation clause that our attorney Mike Finn was on our show describes as the license to lie clause. That it's in other contracts that you're just relying on what is in the contract, but it's used and abused in timeshare.
There.
So Pam bought it from
She's trying to
Flagstaff
hear me.
Fantasy, and in 2021 they were a jury trial awarded 11 plaintiffs $1.6 million
Look at me open the computer.
in 2023, and treble damages for the attorneys $657, and they have appealed it, saying that it should never have gone to a jury trial because it is fraud.
There's a mute button up
So
here.
we'll get into this when Pam gets
No,
on
it should be in the app.
on the stage. But Ann just called. I got an email from Ann 5 minutes before the show started. And Ann, go ahead, and you were going on and on about how helpful this show has been for you.
What about this right there?
Ann, tell your husband that we
Makes
have
me
to.
bigger.
Ann,
Okay.
Ann, okay. We can't.
I can. I'm running.
Okay, you'll have
I
to
don't
mute
think
her.
she can hear us. If you can call her, I don't think she can hear us, but she has another device still connected, and that might be the problem. So I'm just going to kick her from the studio. Why don't we talk to our other guest?
Okay, and we're just going to let you listen by phone because this is taking too much time.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
It is.
so that's fine. We've had people do that before.
Yep.
Okay, now let's get back to the beginning of the show. No, that's okay. But I think people can hear you if you explain how much this show has helped you.
Okay. Okay, just let me know when you want me to
Yeah,
speak.
go ahead. Can you hear her, Kim?
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so, oh my gosh. Okay, I will give you a little story. But anyway, we ended up, getting lied to. We go anywhere, one in time. It's not true. Anyway, have bought more points than we even need. Anyway, just so we could supposedly get to Hawaii. So anyway, that was a lie. But what happened with this show, and I keep putting it on our Facebook, is that our thing on Facebook is that I wish we went to an exit company because we were so desperate to get out of it because they kept charging us more and more maintenance fees, everything. And so we're working with the exit company, but they do help us, although after lots of money, one of the people say, oh, hey, have you checked Tarda? I go, what's Tarda? So, she got me on to Tarda and then got on the Pod TV. And now I watch you every day because I'm trying to figure out how to get out of Hilton. Anyway, we've been defaulted. That's going through that whole process. And,
okay, let me stop you there because this is a typical first time call. And I think I remember you now, Ann. You just sent an email a while ago saying that you would like to volunteer for TARDA.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now I remember. So we have never talked before. And we have Seema on the show that bought from the same resort you did. And I'm going to go over what Seema gave me the name of a sales agent. You mentioned Hawaii. And Seema has 55,000 Hawaii points. Diamond sells their points in collections. And so we have a kind of a wall of shame repeat offender list that people have been reporting complaints against certain sales agents. And when you have 6 complaints dating back to 2018, and then SEMA calls me a few days ago where this just happened in 2024. I didn't get to go through all of these complaints, but first off, what SEMA reported, and then you can tell us how this compares with you. And we also want to talk about the dispute resolution process. The first step is a written report, and typically people don't know what they purchased, and getting all your contracts and lining them up is quite the challenge sometimes. But for SEMA, this sales agent said that she should be in the Hawaii collection because Hawaii points are easier to sell, less fees, less taxes. Hawaii points have no resale value whatsoever. And the reason is all diamond points. Now things can change, but this is the way it's always been. If I buy 20,000 points from you, I have to buy 10,000 points directly from the company to clean those points to join the club to book. And Red Week described that policy as draconian. She said that I could also rent points to help with maintenance fees. Diamond does not allow renting to anyone you don't know or through the use of a third-party site. So then we have, so first we have August of 2018, complaint against the sales agent, number 1 of 6, that your resort went bankrupt, which I own the same points these people do, and so that you have to convert to our company because maintenance fees will rise and rise and rise, which wasn't true, and pass down to your children. We call that the air scare. And she also said when the company goes public, the points will double or triple. And this was someone who suffers from depression because of a Holocaust-related issue. And here we have Naomi. Oh, great. Great. Hi, Naomi. Thank you for joining us. So I'll just go over 3 of these complaints that SEMA experienced with this same person. She also said that our interest rate was high, and the only way to lower it was to buy more points. Oh, wow. And she said, now don't tell anyone, but you can go to our credit union, of which there is none to finance. So they were stuck with a high interest rate. And these are all 2018. June of 2018, there was problems with your resort in Riviera Beach when we took over. And your maintenance fees are going to go up because the property is by the ocean. And then they went to the next agent in Nevada, and he explained that you did not have the option to sell. Why did you, so what the point is, it's back and forth and back and forth. If you're in Nevada, they'll say you shouldn't have bought Hawaii. And if you're in Hawaii, they'll say you shouldn't have bought US collection. So with that, and Naomi, I gave a little bit of a brief introduction for you. Okay. So we're going to follow up with and we have Ann on the phone because she just sent me an email 5 minutes before the show and said, can I join you guys? She's a big fan of Timeshare Solution or Surrender. So now SEMA, who is an unscheduled guest because Naomi is expecting Dr. David to be on the show, but they're almost identical complaints anyway. So we're really glad that SEMA joined us. Based on what you heard, SEMA, and then we'll have Ann see the similarity in her complaint. You were, did any of that ring a bell? And how did you end up with we believe your loan is $180,000. Dr. Dave's loan is $220,000, he believes. So can you fill us in a little bit on your situation?
Apparently, I have now 2 loans. One being with the 3 deeded properties, which is the difference is 70,000, and then the club points is a different loan, which is the person just talked about that had the 6 complaints, where she was telling me I need to go to the higher one. It's valued higher than the others. U.S. collection, or it's under diamond, and that's going to cost more in taxes and fees. So then I did upgrade, and I completely forgot I have it up in January, which is 68,000. In addition to my 100,000 points I currently have, that would probably cost me another $1,000 a month in dues. And so my other loan, the one that's 170, was not even planned. I didn't go to do an upgrade as far as buying extra. How managed to get the unit in there in the contract and up to 220,000, and then credit and brought it down. But the agreement was that I would have interest free for 2 years, and then be able to sell back at the office there 30,000 points and pay off the rest of the loan. Which now I find that you can't do that. You cannot sell if you have a balance on your loan. So I'm kind of
No, you can't. Even if you don't have a balance, it's not, there's no resale value.
well, then it's totally a sham, because
Right.
that specifically, he told me, do not refinance, come back to me, and I will get you to pay off the rest of your loan. Now it turns out, when I found out that you have a loan or 14% loan, I said, please fix this. That wasn't part of the agreement. He said, oh, your credit is good. Go. Means now I have to refinance the entire 170,000, which is what I do. So right now I have approximately $5,100 in fees for Hilton.
Every month, monthly payments.
Monthly payments, which probably is the equivalent to my upcoming pension in February.
And you have medical challenges that will force early retirement?
Yes. So now I have to do surgery. I will be out of work probably a month or 2 or whatever. And that's, everything goes well. And on top of that, I have to pay 5,000.
So you really have little choice but to default. Now, of the 6 people, and Naomi, I know you're taking off work, so we'll get to you in just a minute here. But in addition to Seema, we have the Dr. David, who really wanted to be on the show today. His practice is so busy that he can't really vacation. But he explained that he did have rental investment properties, so they sold him the timeshares as a rental investment, or able to purchase and resell. Then we had just yesterday a nurse who has a workplace industry. Her husband served many years with the police department, and he has dementia at age 57 because of trauma to the head from working as altercations as a police officer. Their loan is $227,000. Then we had Martha. She is a widow for 3 years. She went to a Hilton presentation because she says, my husband died. I don't want to go to a vacation resort on my own, and I can't afford the maintenance fees. And they said, in order to be able to sell them or be released, you have to buy more points, which was totally false. And then we had to end on a light note, we had someone that resolved a $38,000 loan. They also told her that you had to buy a deed. So, let's hold off on Anne and Seema because Naomi only has a short period of time here. Naomi, you, as I explained before you came on the show, that I always had Marriott really high up there as the beacon of honesty. And in your complaint, you also have medical challenges. And a lot of people will say in their complaint, they didn't tell us we had 10 days to cancel. They don't have to. But you're a little bit different because if you buy a car or a house, your real estate agent isn't going to tell me now in Florida, I want you to know if you don't like this, you can cancel in 10 days. You're not born with that information. Exactly. But what's different about you is you went back and tried to cancel and they lied to you because you were within the rescission period, correct?
Definitely. It was only 2 days after, and we were still at the resort, and my husband had went downstairs and went to tell them, can we cancel? And he's like, oh no, it's already being processed. So of course our salesperson wasn't around that day. You know how wonderful, right? And but they are saying that there was no way that we would have come down and said that and got those response from the people in front, because they said that wasn't the case. We would have canceled it immediately if you guys came down and said it. So basically they're calling us liars, you know?
So, and your husband was with you when you heard this, correct?
No, actually he went down by himself because it was my birthday. It was my birthday. I was getting ready. And so he went down. I said, no, let's cancel. He went downstairs and he came upstairs and said, no, apparently we cannot cancel it. It's being processed. We finally, after a while, got in touch with that particular salesperson who finally responded to me because I had said some harsh words on a text. And he comes back and he insisted that that did not happen because he said none of my people were trained to say such a thing. He even said that, we have cameras, we can pull it up. And I'm like, by all means, pull it up. Never heard anything from him again.
Oh, and your husband was with you when you bought it, though, correct?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Okay, so there is no question that when he said you could cancel at any time, he didn't mean within the rescission period.
Never said it. All he said was this, you can cancel. He said, don't worry about it. He said, just get it. He said, you can cancel it. You can cancel. You can just call and cancel. They're going to tell you no, but you can call and cancel.
And
that's his exact words.
So have you stopped making payments?
No, the issue is this. My husband might be he's going to be having surgery. We're finalizing everything right now. So the thing is, we don't want to hit our credit because we might have to relocate. So having to relocate and get into something else, I can't take the risk of having our credit affected.
Well, and I would never want to have anyone ever say, Irene said that, we should stop making our payments. That would be practicing legal advice. But I do want to, someone suggested a default support group, and we have launched a Facebook group of some people that stopped paying 3 years ago, and some people that are just like Seema, prepared to stop payment because you have no choice. Right. With that, we have someone who's been on our show with Wyndham, who has been, her husband's been a pastor for 53 years, and they use their WorldMark credits to their WorldMark Club Pass to book Wyndham properties. And the sales agents, the Wyndham told her, if you don't buy Wyndham points, you'll lose that benefit. And that's what they use for their retreat. So it was very important to them. At age 80, they owe Wyndham $4,300 a month. Yeah. And so what we're trying to show by having different people from different companies, and we have Pam and Marilyn is going to be on the show, hopefully in a few minutes, that explains more about why this is such a stacked deck.
Mhm.
And
I want to interrupt here just a second and be the devil's advocate for just a second. And I don't mean to interrupt because the conversation flow is good, but we bring this up all the time, value of consideration, because our mutual friend taught me this. Why is it there's no way that $4,000 a month can be considered a value of consideration for anything that they're getting? And the gentleman who has David, who has what, $275,000?
220,000.
20. I'm sorry, I got that wrong, but yeah,
Only 220,000.
it's only. I mean, who actually gets a vacation for that amount other than Elon Musk, maybe? But I would take a look into the laws that look at value of consideration, because I don't think anyone can get a value of consideration for any of the amount of money that we're talking about at all. Because value of consideration is where you take a look at what you're paying for, and is it really providing you what they say in the contract, not so much what they orally promised you, but what they say. And can you book a reservation for, a better price as a member than you can if you booked at those resorts as a non-member? And can you get the times you want to book? So those are a few elements that you can take photos, snapshots of the screenshots, and use as evidence for value of consideration. That's not legal advice. That's just common sense that, you need to start asking, what is the value of consideration of what I am paying for? And that was a huge lesson for me, Irene. I have to admit, I would love to write him a thank you letter for that. I use it all the time in my life. So everything I do.
Well, and Pam, before you got on joined us today, I explained that what's happening with Flagship, I believe, is the name of the overall company, and Fantasy is the resort in New Jersey, and that a jury awarded 11 plaintiffs $1.6 million and triple for the attorneys for taking on a risky case. They were awarded $657,000. And now, and now they have appealed. Oral arguments were on December 2nd, so we haven't heard back yet from the state appellate court, but they're saying it should have never gone to a jury trial. We had attorney Howard Prosnex on our show, and because Wyndham didn't pay their arbitration fees, their lawsuit was allowed to go forward as opposed to arbitration. But when Kim and I and a few other of our volunteers went to court in Delaware, the judge ruled that he didn't rule that day, but he did later on, denying class certification. And when you call his office, Mr. Prozek's office, the recorded messages, we've had hundreds of Wyndham people call us. We can't take any more cases. So you can imagine if there were 200 people, that would be 200 individual cases, which is almost impossible. And Pam, I talked to an attorney and said, this seems like the same thing that happened to the attorney, where you couldn't proceed with a class action, although this with Flagstaff was not. So tell us a little bit about how did you get involved with, and I go ahead up front. I'm going to express my condolences for the death of your son and your husband.
Thank you.
And how did you get involved with Fantasy? And I know that you are in default, so we have members supporting members, that somebody that may be just missing their first payment, talking to someone that hasn't paid for several years, and with all the trauma in your life, you weren't even aware that you had stopped paying, correct?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. It started back in 2016, I believe it was. We went to Atlantic City, my husband, my son, and we took our 2 grandchildren to Atlantic City. And of course, it was this 90-minute show, which lasted longer than 90 minutes. But so it sounded like really, like we really didn't know. We didn't know what we were doing. So we signed on for it. We did. I found the contract. I went up in the attic. I was able to locate the contract and everything now. And moving forward, came back home, and there was some happened with my husband. He ended up being incarcerated. And I believe I did pay it for a couple of months. And then things just started to unravel with our lives. And I forgot. Not that I forgot. I just wasn't paying it in the beginning, initially, because my husband was in prison. So now I'm like, oh, I got to pick and choose what I need to pay.
Mhm.
So that went on for about a year. And my husband comes back home, trying to get back acclimated with society, trying to find a job, doing all that. Then in the interim of that, my son suddenly passes away. So now our lives are really turned upside down. And in the interim of that, I separated from my husband and I left home and moved with my sister for a while, and came back home. And right shortly after that, my husband passed away. Now, mind you, I hadn't heard nothing from Timeshare. Not Timeshare. I hadn't heard nothing from Flagship. After losing my husband, I went to refinance my home. And when they ran my credit, this came up that I was in default and it was in a collection agency. And I was like, what is it? And I reached out to Flagship and was like, I didn't even realize we had this timeshare, and I get it. How do you forget something like that? Well, if you look at the record, I never used it. So that's one reason. That's one way to know that I must have been oblivious to even having it. So I explained to, his name was Peter Lelli, Lelli. At first, he was very rude, nasty. Was sounding as if I was making all these excuses, and he was like, "Well, I tell you what, send me the death certificates," and very unempathetic at all. I mean, there was no empathy whatsoever. So I wrote a letter and I sent him the death certificates and just said, my life, it's just been turned upside down. So he called me back and he said, well, we had put all these timeshare into collection after what was it? COVID. He said, and we were trying to get people's attention. He said, so we tend to take them out of collections. So I said, okay. He said, what I would do, he said, what do you want? What are you asking here? I said, I'm asking, is there any way we can negotiate if I could maybe pay something and you guys take it back? I can't afford it. I don't want it. I mean, I don't, my son and my husband both are passed away. It's nothing I could do with it. I can't afford it. So he said, well, what I'll do is the death certificates in the letter, I'll present it to the association and see if we can allow to take it back. So I spoke to someone else and they were like, they're not gonna take anything back. He's lying to you, blah, blah, blah. So from then I kept calling him, sending him emails. So one day he calls me. He said, well, we got a lot going on and don't email me. I'll call you. So then the next phone call I got, he was asking me, he never said what the board said. He said, what I can do is send him $7,000 and they would take it off my credit report. They would take it out of collections. And
how much did you owe?
He says I owe like 13. I think it was like 13,000.
No, so they offered to settle for about half the amount.
Right. But
yeah, and that's pretty common. He wouldn't put it. Oh, so give us the money and then we'll talk about it.
Right.
Yeah,
he said,
right.
So I talked to my brother about it and he was like, and I was like, I'm trying to get out of debt. I just need, if you could help me. And he said, well, okay, first of all, what is in writing that he's going to do this? So I called him. I call him back. I get him. And I was like, can you put this in writing? And he was like, well, we'll put it in writing once you agree to it. You can come up here. We can sit down. You can pay, give us the date that you're going to pay it. And then we're going to I was like, well, like if this was you, wouldn't you want something? He was like, well, look, you're the one that needs help right now. So he wasn't trying to really help me.
Well, and there was another Flagstaff owner. Her name was Helen. She was 88 years old. She was a widow. They took her driver's license away. She had to use a walker. So I reached out to Flagship, and the response I got back, you were talking about the abrasiveness, was like, if we take back a timeshare for everybody that has a sad story.
Yeah,
I'm like, what does she have to be in a coma? This is ridiculous. Now, Kim, I want to reach out to your sister Kelly, who works in lending, because I received a private Facebook message from Maria, and Maria stopped making loan payments on Westgate, I think 3 years ago, and it's the same industry-wide. The most common complaint is, oh, you can rent it out and you can cover your maintenance fees or make money, turn it into a business. And she has, when she went to buy a house, and it affected her husband's credit score, not hers. But when they went to buy a house, the lending agent saw that it had been, Westgate had charged off that loan. Now, she has no access to the account, but he is asking for a letter from Westgate saying they charged it off. So my question for your sister is, if it's on the credit report that it's charged off, I would think it would have to be. So what we at TARTA can do for that person is, number one, as your sister suggested, it's an installment loan, not a mortgage, as the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in Steins versus Westgate. Fannie Mae and the National Credit Union Administration all say it may be reported as a mortgage, but it is not. It's an installment loan. And so I'm going to send her that third-party support, and also we have a report of 41 veterans and active duty service members and a good portion of them are this rental scam that's industry wide. And when you hear the same thing over and over from people that are educated professionals that don't know, and Pam, you work for a law firm, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we have, Seema is a nurse. Naomi, I forgot, what is your profession?
I'm a recruiting consultant.
Yes, for our favorite industry, the insurance industry.
Yes.
Okay. So, and we lost Anne. I wanted to hear her compare what.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we can. You sound loud and clear. Are you there?
It was something so simple. I cannot even believe it. I won't even go in there.
It always is.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
Okay. Now you heard me talk about the back and forth. I call it the ping pong upsell. And there's a YouTube that's had 11,000 views. He's a Navy veteran where he was ping pong back and forth between Hawaii, US, until he ended up with $2,700 a month in loan payments that he charged to several credit cards. And he had no choice but to declare bankruptcy. So a lot of people talk about, they ask about bankruptcy, and an attorney said, never file for bankruptcy if a timeshare is your only debt, because it is worthless usually, and it will be abandoned. And after 7 years, you find out you still owe it. Now, Anne, go ahead, now that we've got you through loud and clear. You've listened a little bit to Seema and me go over these other complaints with the same agent. And you worked with an exit company that's not a scam, but it's not necessary. But you still are not out of the timeshare?
Well, not exactly. We got a certified mail. stating that they were going to sell it and that we had and that we owed and we if we could pay X amount of money.
Well, let's
Yeah.
back up a minute.
Okay.
Do you have all Hawaii points?
Well, it's kind of confusing. It was no. It was Hilton because our main company's in California. So it started there, and this is where it gets confusing. It started there, and over a process of many upgrades, we get to Hawaii, and they want to do another upgrade on us. And at that point, this is where I get confused. Is the Hawaiian points? I don't think so. I think it's just points.
No, there's a Hawaii
Oh.
collection, there's a US collection, there's a Cabo collection, and I have Premier Vacation Club points. So
I know they kept switching, wanting us to go up to Max. There was Max that they wanted us to switch up to for another fee.
why did they want you to buy into Max?
So that we could get to Hawaii. We could get to more prime resorts, I guess.
And you had prior to that US collection points?
I guess when we went to that initial one, I get so confused. When we went to the initial one on a vacation package and they got us in their room, we said the only reason we would even buy points is to get into Hawaii. Because that's where we went every year on my birthday, which happens to be a holiday. Can never get in. Anyway.
Where were you? What sales center were you at?
Carlsbad, Marbrisa.
Okay,
Grand
in
Pacific.
California.
Yeah, it was in
Okay,
California.
now before we go further, there is so much confusion with Hilton Grand Vacations, you can't believe it. Because Hilton had deeded weeks. Do you have any deeded weeks with Hilton? You don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, no, this is very common. This is very common. People don't know what they have. And Seema and I spent about 2 or 3 hours on the phone. And we had also Dr. Dave and we were probably just trying to figure out what you have if you bought several times. But Hilton had a deeded week. And Pam, you probably have a deeded week. These are, I call them, some of them your grandmother's timeshare because they're fixed weeks or floating. Mm-hmm. But anyway, they would have points that would accompany those. It might be 4,500 if it's a 1-bedroom, 8,000 points, Hilton points. Well, that's completely different from Diamond's points, which are, and people call them trust points, but that's not accurate. Diamond owns properties that are in a trust, but they, outside of that trust, issue points. Okay, so Diamond US collection points, Hilton deeds typically have some resale value. Diamond points have no resale value. So it sounds like, when did you first get involved with Diamond?
Well,
or did you first get involved with Hilton? Who was first, Diamond or Hilton?
Hilton, 2022 is when.
Okay. So what's the very first time that you purchased?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you started with Hilton and you purchased just since 22 several times?
Yeah. In 2022, we were told, oh yeah, we're going to get more diamond resorts, right? We're going to get more diamond resorts. You'll have more options. You'll be able to go to Hawaii. And we're like, oh, okay. Well, that was in March of 2022. And then right around November, December, we wanted to go to Hawaii. And they said, oh, you don't have enough points. So then we upgraded again then. And then we found out we could go to Hawaii, but not with the Hilton points, even with the upgrade. We had to go through RCI, pay another RCI fee to get into Hawaii. I think we went to Kauai. And then that was in 23, we were able to go to Hawaii. And then in 24, we had points. We had now we had a lot of points, but okay, wait, 23.
Okay, let me stop you there.
Okay, I get confused.
Yeah, let me stop you there because and Seema has gone through this, and it was very difficult to get all of her, and the same with Dr. Dave. Let's talk a little bit about, you signed up with an exit company. What were you charged, if you don't mind sharing?
$14,000.
Okay, so $14,000. And what did they have you do?
Write letters, emails. They helped us put together emails to Hilton.
Okay, and so they don't represent you.
No.
So do you have that report that you prepared that you could send to me?
From the exit company or from?
Yeah, well, you sent the email to the exit company with the report of why you were unhappy.
Oh, yeah. I could say, yeah.
I'd be interested in reading that. So the first step is finding out what you own. You don't even know. And then you send that, we have you email that to the resort, hoping that they will work with you. Most of the time it's you signed a contract. Now, the nurse that just contacted me yesterday, they told her that if you don't, she was Hilton, she was already Hilton, and Diamond members are going to have access, and you won't. They're going to have priority over you if you don't buy into HGV Max, which is basically Diamond US Collection Points renamed US Collection Points. So the other people, if I'm a Diamond member and I go into a presentation, they will say, if you don't buy into HGV Max, Hilton members, you're going to lose locations. So it's like as I started the show, we had $713,000 total people reporting just in the last week.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Before I forget. So starting in May is when we did the exit company, and we started sending emails to Hilton, and the first response we got was, "Oh yeah, we can offer a deed back program, and if you qualify for I think it was $1,200 or $1,500," and we're like, "Great, we'll do that. We'll take the deed back." Well, then they don't answer, and we keep going back. Well, tons of emails sent to Hilton, tons. And then we got email back saying, "Oh, you don't qualify because you have a loan." So then it went back into, then we try, you have to get a hold of the loan company. Then we get a hold of the loan company and they go, "Oh, we have nothing to do with that. You have to call Hilton. You have to contact Hilton." It was just this, and it months and months. And so we stopped payment in June. I actually stopped it in May. My husband, because he's such a nice person, said, "Oh, we better we better make a payment to show good faith." And I'm like, how crazy is that? Anyway, so he does. Well, guess what? That stalls them because they're like, "Oh yeah, they paid it. They're good."
Mm-hmm.
And so then I was like, "No, we're not paying anymore," And then in the meantime, we've been back and forth. A general attorney. I mean, everything. We Better Business Bureau general attorney. And then it was just, it's crazy. And so then we got the certified
What state
letter.
attorney general did you go to?
California.
Okay, well, with California, you don't file with the California Attorney General. They will direct you usually to the same with Nevada. They will refer you to the real estate division, and you file a complaint against that real estate agent. I mean, it won't hurt you to file. Now, did you say you signed up with the exit company in May of 2024?
Yes.
Okay. And then you sent to Hilton probably a request with detailing why you want to be released. And they responded back, you have a loan. And you were reporting specifically, people will say they lied. But I heard the one where you didn't have enough points. I don't know the details on that, but was there any particular lie that stood out to you?
All of them. But anyway, being caught in that room for hours and hours and hours. Okay, we give up. We'll buy it. But
That doesn't count as deception.
in Hawaii, so here's the icing on the cake. When we went to Hawaii and they were trying to get us to upgrade, which they obviously succeeded, we said the only reason we would upgrade is if we can get to Maui every year on my birthday. It's a requirement. We need to get in Hawaii. Oh yeah, you can get any time you want. And we said, okay, well, my birthday's it was my birthday when we went to Hawaii. So I said, well, it's during the holidays. It's like New Year's. I mean, it's the holidays, Christmas and New Year's holidays. And he said, oh yeah, that's not a problem. You'll be fine. You can get into Maui anytime you want. And then he kind of
Okay, wait a minute. I'm confused. Okay, so
Irene,
yeah.
I have to get going right now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, who's just said that?
Naomi.
Oh, Naomi, thank you so much for staying with us, Naomi.
Of course.
And we'll have you back again to follow through. But
yes,
thing before you go real quick, Marriott has been the most, the kindest and gentlest foreclosures. So someone just notified me that they offered a deed in lieu of foreclosure. In lieu of means instead of.
Yeah.
And we also had someone that reported this week that Hilton offered them a deed in lieu and foreclosure. Gabby has been on our show before. Her husband is deployed overseas, and it might have helped that he was active duty to do that. But we're going to follow along with it, but you're not going to default. You can't default. Yeah. So it's a really bad situation. And we'll keep reaching out, and media, sometimes the only court open is the court of public opinion.
That's right.
Well, and public exposure. This is what I've explained to Irene. I think some of the success we have done is the exposure we have been doing, because, the minute Irene goes, well, that's okay, we can just talk about it on the TV show. You're welcome to join us. And we don't use that card all the time because we can't. But we do say, you know what, we're going to be talking about this. This case has come up, being dealt with. And we'll give you an open door to share your response.
Right.
And, they back out of that really fast, which shows their guilt. It's,
well, Naomi, I know you have to get back to work. So we'll let you.
All right, ladies. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
I just tell everyone that we need to unite and work together. Even if your case gets settled, that to me means now you need to fight harder with other people, because if we turn our head because you did, oh wow, I'm done. If you turn your head, then to me that's not doing what we need to be doing as a community. We need, one person's success in this area can be thousands of people's success, because we can take a look at how you did it, what happened, who was involved with the decision making. But, it takes a team, right, Irene, and a group.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's overwhelming right now, the number of people that are reaching out. So Anne, I appreciate that you now, but the thing is, you said you stopped paying. So if you stop making payments, there was no reason to retain an exit company, because the outcome is just going to be default.
I think I made a mistake on the exit company. We got a hold of the exit company before I stopped making payments.
Yes, but now that you've stopped making payments, did they advise you to stop making payments?
Oh no, the exit company? No, they would never advise us.
Okay.
They were very explicit about that.
Okay, but the fact that you have stopped payments means that you paid them for nothing.
Exactly.
because you don't have to pay anyone to default on a loan.
No.
And
Right.
Seema, are you still with us? Can you hear us? She might have backed away because I believe that she is prepared. I think she said by December 16th, she's going to have to stop her payments as well. It is so sad. I mean, think about it, you guys. We're talking about a product that is supposed to bring joy and fun and relaxation to our lives. And oh my goodness,
It's a
I
horror
mean,
story. It's a
yeah.
vacation horror story. I
And
mean, that's the first thing that came out of my mouth when something happened to me. I'm like, this was just nothing but a horror story. So everything that happens and does not happen afterwards, that's the problem I had. And the other problem is the laws support these people. They don't support you, the consumer, and they should. There are too many people being harmed and damaged, some predatory selling, if you ask me. I think majority of the exit companies are part of the timeshares. And Irene, I forgot to tell you, which I'm going to go get on the phone with them after the show. I've had an exit company contact me again. And then first words out of their mouth is we see that you have a timeshare with XYZ, and we would like to know if you need to get out of it.
oh gosh.
So didn't I get a settlement letter like 8 months ago? Almost a year ago. Actually, I went and looked at the dates, and according to the state attorney general, the letter was written February 5th.
But that's valuable even to have that letter that's.
Oh, yeah, because I used it with my loan. But the other thing I want to bring up, and I know we have less than 3 minutes here, is, Elaine Marshall, Elizabeth
Warren.
Yeah, she went and with the Vice President Harris, they changed the law for people who had medical debt so that they don't get consumed with bad credit scores. And I don't see why we can't get the same thing done here, that this kind of debt cannot hurt your credit score. I just don't understand why we can't do that.
And Pam, were you going to say something about it?
Oh, I was going to say, because she was saying some exit company had sent her something. I was speaking, a friend of mine knew someone that was in the whole timeshare industry, and hopefully he could help me try to get out of this. And he called me. I ended up giving him $300, and he said that $300, without a doubt, he was able to get it back into inventory. And then he called me back about 2 weeks later and said, well, if you can give me, I believe it was 6,000. And it was, and I was
like,
have
his number? Do you have his number?
He's a timeshare person. Yeah.
I know. Do you have his number?
Kim will call him.
He was taking your money to get, and he told you $300 and that would take care of it. And he called you back that's extortion, Irene. That's extortion. I'm calling the police on that.
I said, well, give me a couple months. Let me see what I could do as far as seeing if I could get some help. And I haven't talked back to him because he was acting as if.
No. But what he just did, we need to get that on video. I mean, on recording. But unfortunately, we're at the top of the hour. I want to thank everyone for your support and help.
I just thought about that when you said about the exit person.
Your stories are just reinforcing the need that we need to change the laws. And I know that Irene has worked on a white paper, which I strongly support and hope that we can get that in the hands of every senator and congressman in this country. But thank you, everyone, because without you and without your support, we won't be able to succeed. And it sounds like to me that this is a growing problem and it needs to stop.
It's massive. I feel like we ran into Bernie Madoff, but it's more money than that.
Yeah,
Bernie
no.
Madoff
Yeah, it's huge.
got off
It
easy.
is huge.
Yeah, and everyone, continue supporting us just by watching us, liking us. Come and tell your story, because I'm getting the point here.
Stay backstage if you can, because we can talk more a little bit afterwards
Absolutely.
with
Everyone
Seema
take
and
care.
Pam and Ann.
All right,
Thank
And
you.
we'll
bye.
see you
Thank you.
soon.
Bye.
Next
Bye.
Monday, 1:00.
All right. Take care.